So without further ado, if you remember back in December 19, which I announced at last year's conference, Shaping as a legal entity had put together a team of 9 directors. Each director carries their vote as a director of the legal company, and each director carries a portfolio. I cannot tell you how proud I was when Hayden Taylor agreed to accept a directorship of Shaping and the education portfolio. Because if there's a better person to help Shaping shape its education programs in the city, I don't know of them. So ladies and gentlemen, let me hand you over now to Hayden Taylor, who will take you through the next 35 minutes of a truly extraordinary and fulfilling panel and team. Thank you very much indeed.
Thanks, Steph. And I feel so incredibly lucky to be with so many passionately Portsmouth people today, and to be part of this great city and this great organisation. So thank you again for giving me this opportunity to take you through today's education session. It's great to see so many familiar faces here, but equally lots of new faces that are part of Shaping's ever-growing network. Let me really quickly introduce myself. My name's Hayden Taylor. I'm really proud, as Steph mentioned, to be Shaping's non-exec director for education. And I'm equally proud to be the managing director of Unloc, a social enterprise based in the city that works with over 10,000 young people a year to help them realise their potential. And it's now been a decade since a 14-year-old Hayden started that work on building aspiration in young people in Portsmouth. And I'm just so delighted to see all that we've achieved in that time. I just wanted to very quickly share my vision for Shaping's work on education and skills before we dive into today's really interesting panel conversation. Shaping has a really powerful network of organisations from a whole range of backgrounds and industries. I want to harness that power to help build aspiration in young people in the city. I also want to connect and enable collaboration between employers and our city's schools and colleges who are doing so much incredibly powerful work. And equally, I want to champion and deliver really powerful Shaping Portsmouth initiatives that enable young people to explore a whole range of different career pathways, including through our apprenticeship programme and our Explore Your Future programme. So just very quickly, how does today's education session look? Well, in just a moment, I'll be introducing our incredibly talented panel, which will be exploring the topic of how we support young people to navigate career pathways in the new normal, despite all the challenges that there is to overcome. And then after that, I've got 3 very short 5-minute briefings on a range of schemes that I think businesses in the city, organisations in the city will find really useful, informative and valuable. Okay, as I said, before I introduce that programme, I just wanted to talk a bit more about some of the programmes that are coming down the line. So some Shaping Portsmouth education programmes that are worth keeping an eye out for, and we'll be communicating to all our network about over the coming months. 4 real flagship programmes for us. The first is Explore Your Future, which is a new project to use the real life experience of a diverse pool of role models from across our city to raise aspiration in young people, particularly during the pandemic. Our Project 16 to 24 programme, which is all about getting young people away from universal credit and into really meaningful employment or training. Our Kickstart programme, where we're helping employers to learn about the potential of the Kickstart scheme and the opportunity to welcome young people into their business, and our apprenticeship programme too. So just some programmes to keep an eye out for. So I want to kick off now with our really impressive panel, which is all about how we support young people to navigate career pathways in the new normal. So what I'd like each of my panel members to do, if that's okay, is just to briefly introduce themselves. So let's start with Simon Barrable, please.
Hi Hayden. Hello everybody. I'm Simon Barrable. I'm the principal at Portsmouth College. It's my 3rd year now in that role. Prior to that, I was deputy at the college, and I've been working in the city for just over a decade now.
Thanks, Simon. Sorry for the delay there. I wasn't able to unmute myself. Then we've got Councillor Suzy Horton. Susie.
Thank you, Hayden. Hello, everyone. As Hayden says, my name is Councillor Suzy Horton. I'm the Cabinet Member for Children, Families and Education here at Portsmouth City Council. But probably more importantly, I've spent my entire career in education in one way, shape or form.
Thanks, Susie. Again, exactly the same problem. Thanks for your patience. And then we have John Lomas. John, are you there? Don't know if John's had some issues joining us. In which case, we'll go to Richard Hutchinson.
Hi, everybody. My name is Richard Hutchinson. I head up the recruitment for CityFibre. CityFibre are currently in the process of building a digital infrastructure across the UK, including Portsmouth.
Thanks, Richard, and thanks to everyone on the panel. Really pleased to have you. Hopefully we'll get John connected soon. Let's start with our first question, which is about the role that employers have. So what is the role of employers in supporting young people to navigate all the variety of career pathways that exist, both now in COVID times and in the future? And I'd like to come to Simon on that first, if that's okay.
Yeah, certainly, Hayden. I think, you know, in the current circumstances, there's a real role for all of us, and, you know, including employers, just to be building confidence amongst young people in terms of opportunities for the future. You know, young people, I think, at the moment are very concerned about that, given the, you know, the situation and the news they hear every day about the economic impact of COVID. So there's a confidence building role. I think employers can make a massive difference in terms of reaching out to educational institutions and working with educational institutions. It's, you know, it's extremely powerful to hear from people who are in the working world and have gone through the same journey as these young people have done. And, you know, it can really help to not only raise aspirations for what they might do in the future, but it can equally be a massive help in terms of them on their qualifications and their achievement, and therefore their progression. And I'm talking about things like, you know, people coming in and doing guest talks and, you know, guest speakers in that sense. I think never underestimate, actually, as an employer, how powerful that is and what an impact, you know, that can have. And then lastly, I would say obviously there's the whole work experience piece, you know, which is just so critical again for young people to get that, you know, to get a taste of working life. And you know, it's difficult, I know, currently in the circumstances, but there's been some great innovative stuff gone on around virtual work placements and virtual experiences, and you know, I'm hoping, like everybody is, that young people will be able to get back out into the workplace again, you know, and get that experience face to face soon.
And I kind of want to flip to Richard here. Richard, is it being made available to employers? Do employers know where to go to be able to engage in these type of activities? And what do you think employers could be doing more of to contribute to helping young people explore those different career routes?
So I think firstly I'd say that there's lots of opportunity to access lots of help, support, training, funds to help with this kind of activity. I think organisations need to consider what it is that they're trying to do and make sure that they've got the right environments to make this work properly. Something that we're very conscious of is the journey and experience that a young person may have coming into the organisation, but making sure that we've got the right opportunities for them. So we are looking at things like Kickstart programme to support bringing people in for particular roles that we're creating as part of that scheme. Some of that's working with our external build partners, and some of that's into CityFibre directly. But also we're creating training academies so that we can bring people in and give them the learning journeys once they've come into the organisation, to support their training and development, to give them the skills for the types of roles that we have now and potentially in the future. But before that, I think we've also got to think about how we engage young people on our industry and help them to understand what opportunities exist within specifically our industry, but this is the case for, I think, all organisations across all types of industries. So we're engaging with education partners to help do that. We're looking at developing content to bring our organisation to life, but also the industry on a wider level, to inspire and get people excited about opportunity. We're kind of looking at that at different levels to enable us to kind of start early and develop people's interests and understand the immediate but long-term opportunities that exist within an organisation like CityFibre.
Thanks, Richard. And Susie, I'll come to you on that question. And I want to tag off the back of that. Are we doing enough to promote the variety of different routes that exist now for young people? You know, there's incredible opportunities in Kickstart and apprenticeships, etc. Are we doing enough of that? And is there still a risk of young people just plodding on to their next step without thinking about all the different options that could be there for them?
Yeah, I think we've probably all got a certain age group in our mind when these conversations are going on, and I think we've already covered the breadth of opportunities there are in terms of careers advice and guidance and different schemes. But I think what I'd like to add is actually don't underestimate how important it is to plant those seeds when children are really young. I don't know if everyone here on this call thinks about how they've ended up doing what they're doing. And I'm sure there's loads of different stories, but in actual fact, role models coming into schools. I know Shaping did the Guess My Job work with primary schools over the years. And actually just planting those seeds of aspiration at a very early age that you can actually be what you want to be. And then they are open then to all those opportunities that are coming their way.
Thanks, Susie, and couldn't agree more. Planting seeds of inspiration is a fabulous thing that I think we can all contribute to. And I think we've got John Lomas from Springfield School with us now. Are you with us, John?
Finally, yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, John. Great stuff. And I'd love to hear your perspective on things that have worked really well where employers have engaged in curriculum.
Yes, engagement is the key word. Following from what Susie said, I think you're right. Employers do want to engage with schools, with pupils, but aren't exactly sure how to do it successfully. Rather than being a blunt instrument, they want to engage with schools, but sometimes they're unsure how. So there are projects out there that's all ready off the shelf to go. If employers want to be involved in schools, there's an example called the Employers Engagement Project that I am leading, funded by the Hearn Foundation London through EBP South, and it's targeted to get employers into specific parts of the curriculum. So take an example in maths, the GCSE, the pupils are doing what used to be AS level maths, and they're finding it very hard. So they do kind of throw their arms up in the air and say, I'm never going to use this. So cue Paul Europe, Shannon from Paul Europe down the road, comes zooming into the lesson, talking about the vaccine, talking about gene therapy, talking about how algebra is essential for the vaccine to work. And it's the same algebra you're doing in your lessons that we're using in our labs. Therefore, it's incredibly important. And the turnaround of the attitude from the young people is tangible. So they can see, if they can get and meet with employers, they can really make a step forward. And employers do want to help, but aren't quite sure how. Please do contact EBP about this, because Jane Harris is all waiting to take lots of employers on from this. We've got several off the shelf already. We're hoping that big employers will come back to us as they had from BAE Systems and so on. And we've got several larger employers that are already working with us. So we'd like to improve that, increase that. And that's across the Solent region, not just Portsmouth, that's across the whole Solent region, a long-term plan. What we want to have is employers like in a stick of rock all the way through the middle. You've got like an imprint, haven't you? every employer in the Solent region should be thinking, how can I get into school to help them, either virtually like we are now, or actually going into the school. Actually, every single employer's kind of raison d'etre, really. They should be able to want to help coming into schools confidently, and there's various ways we can do that, and this project can help.
And John, employers can do that right now, can't they? We don't need to wait for COVID to disappear. They can get stuck in right now.
Happening now. Eaton Engineering all ready to go. We've got 8 Wealth Management. We've got Paul Europe all ready to go. There's a whole lot of other employers that have been there before COVID, but just contact EBP and they will take you all through it, and you can help all of the schools in the region at GCSE.
Great stuff, John. And I want to come to Simon now. You may have seen the news around the further education white paper, which is suggesting a whole range of reforms which would bring education and industry closer together. Simon, how can we redesign education to bring the business world and education together more, and to work in a more cohesive fashion?
Yeah, well, certainly, in the world of post-16, which obviously I'm in, that that new FE white paper is really exciting. Actually, the skills and jobs white paper, because the government is really trying to facilitate that coming together of business and education in a really meaningful way. So and they're also providing funds both for the colleges involved and the employers involved to make that happen. So a couple of examples that are coming down the line are those of business centres actually being based in colleges, so that kind of interface between business and education is a really tangible one, a really practical one, and they're also talking about far more active engagement in helping businesses to design and build the curriculum or elements within the curriculum to make sure that when those young people are then leaving college, they've actually got the skills and knowledge that the local economic sectors are so in need of. So I think the business centres and the curriculum design element in that white paper is really exciting, actually, in terms of how education and business will be working together in the near future. And I really look forward to seeing that coming to fruition.
Great stuff, Simon. And if I could come to Susie on that same question, how can we redesign education? What can we tweak now? And perhaps using some of the experiences we've gained from the pandemic, some of the positive experiences from the pandemic, to actually achieve what Simon's referring to there about bringing industry and young people together.
I think it's really positive, because I think sometimes in the past we've had a very linear approach, and there's been a sort of certain points in young people's careers where they've either gone down an academic route or the business route, and actually life doesn't work like that. So I'm really optimistic about this merging of these two strands, as it were, because it actually gives a message out around that you never actually stop learning, and actually you can learn from business, but business is an educational experience as well, and that holds, I think, it really changes the landscape about what is a career. And actually it is really a blend of carrying on learning and developing, as well as actually gaining qualifications, and education in its widest sense. So I think there are real opportunities here for really pushing the boundaries of the curriculum that we've been experiencing, and that can be done both on a local level and within schools, pushing those boundaries, but actually it also has to be done nationally as well, in order to try and as part of the whole economic recovery of the country.
Thanks, Susie. And after today's session, I'll be sharing email addresses in the chat. And if anything you've heard so far has inspired you to get stuck into helping us plant those seeds of inspiration in the young people of this city, please reach out. There is not a better time than now to be doing that. Young people want to see all the different opportunities that exist. And we need some positive inspiration in the most challenging of times that we're all currently facing. Richard, I wanted to come to you. I know CityFibre has done some really interesting stuff around getting more young people into the workforce of your business. Could you talk to me a bit about what you've done there?
Yeah, so some of this is about working with our build partners, and we've identified a couple of new roles that we've introduced to support the processes that we need to go through to help with the build. And by introducing those roles, we've been able to look at the Kickstart programme to support that. We're also working with our build partners to identify some specific apprenticeship opportunities, again for our build partners. But within CityFibre, we recognised that we have particular roles that we need to think differently about. So we've created a planner academy, which means that we can start to bring people in that haven't got the skills today, and through a combination of accessing training funds through external training providers, and also through accrediting some of the qualifications that are aligned to an apprenticeship scheme, we're able to then take people on a 2-year programme to really give them the skills for now and also for tomorrow. The development of the training academy, or the planner academy, is something that is new to the organisation. So not only have we needed to look at what does that look like and how do we reach out and identify the story to tell to get people interested, but we've also needed to make sure that our business is prepared for it, and prepared for ensuring that they can support people as they come into the organisation on that learning journey, and making sure that the network around it is in place to give young people a positive experience as they go through that programme. The last thing we wanted to do was just plonk a planning academy into the business and then just hope it worked. So there's a whole host of work that's being done in the background to make sure that that kind of is a seamless process for people as they go through the programme, if that makes sense. Great
stuff, Richardson. And we're going to actually touch on some of those opportunities, including Kickstart, in a minute with our 5-minute briefings. Susie, I want to come to you now with our final question for today's panel. We're all familiar with the challenges that COVID-19 has placed on education. We know it's super tough for teachers. We know it's super tough for parents who are homeschooling. So I want to ask Susie, what are the positives? What are the learnings we can take out of this awful episode that will actually make humankind in this city better in the long term?
Okay, nice easy question there. I think I just want to start off by echoing what you said. And actually, sometimes you can come out with these statements like teachers have done amazingly, schools have done amazingly, and they have, but they actually have pulled off something quite incredible. Most projects of what's happened over the last year would take years to build up to, and teachers stepped up and changed the ways they worked and did it with incredible professionalism and talent within about 48 hours. So I just want to get that one out there. As you say, the kind of challenges have been very well rehearsed, and we wait and see what the reality is as we go back to some kind of normal. And I suppose that brings me into the thing of what, in some ways we have a paradox. In some ways everything's changed, and in some ways nothing has changed. We still want every single child in this city to become the best version of themselves. We still know that life will throw curveballs at us, and we have plans which don't work out. So to some extent that hasn't changed. But COVID has really shaken up the kind of foundations, and we have an opportunity as the kind of dust comes to settle of actually taking advantage of that. And some of them have been covered in today's presentations throughout. One is the whole thing around partnership. The schools in the city, schools and colleges in the city, and early years providers have never worked so closely in all the time that I've been around. So that's one, that whole thing around partnership and working together, as Steph has repeated on a few times. But actually, let's be honest, the digital step up has been forced on a lot of people, and that has real positive opportunities for moving forward, in both in terms of the curriculum, in the terms of the way we work, the way we support children and young people with special educational needs, differentiation that digital provides us with a lot. And actually there's also another partner that I actually think there's been a real positive impact, is actually working with parents. Schools and parents have got very close relationships. I think a lot of parents have decided that teaching would be the last thing they wanted to do in their lives, but I think there's also been a respect for teachers and educators, and that's something too that we can build on. So they're my starters.
Thank you, Susie, and certainly not an easy question. And I'm conscious of time, so I just want to thank our panel for their contributions. It's been fascinating hearing your insights on the challenges presented by the pandemic, but equally the opportunities that lay ahead. And to every single organisation, employer currently listening to this, my call to action to you today is to please get stuck in. I know it's tricky. I know we're all working hard, but if we can all contribute something to plant those seeds of inspiration that Susie so eloquently mentioned earlier, our young people will be so much better for it. So thank you to all of our panel, and thank you to everyone for engaging in that discussion.